My family cancelled my 18th birthday so my brother could cry about med school, so I left that night. They said I was selfish for wanting dinner, after I paid the deposit, designed the invite, and texted the group chat. All because golden boy Caleb didn't get into Johns Hopkins. That night, I packed my guitar, my sketchbooks, and vanished. No tears. No fight. Just freedom. They forgot my birthday. Not like, oh, we were busy and didn't get a cake, but deliberately, intentionally, chose not to acknowledge it. I had saved up for weeks to take everyone out for dinner. I booked the reservation. I even designed the invitation in Canva and texted it to the family group chat like an idiot. I turned 18 on a Tuesday. But by Sunday night, I had already gotten the call. Hey honey, my mom said, her voice syrupy, fake. We're going to have to cancel dinner Tuesday. Caleb's. Well, he's really not doing great. That meant my brother Caleb didn't get into med school. Again. I understand he's upset, I said slowly, but I already paid the deposit on the restaurant. We don't have to make it a party. Just dinner. There was a pause. We just don't want to upset him more, she said. You know how hard he worked. I also worked, I said, my voice shaking. And it's my birthday. Don't make this about you, Owen. She snapped. You're being incredibly selfish. Click. That was it. No card. No cake. Not even a text from Caleb. My 18th birthday was cancelled so my older brother could wallow in his second rejection letter from Johns Hopkins. I spent the day eating a cold sandwich in my car before my shift at the bookstore. I guess I shouldn't have been surprised. Caleb was always the center of the house. The shining sun we were expected to orbit. When he got straight A's, we had cake and champagne. When I won the regional art contest, they forgot to pick me up. When he got his first girlfriend, they gave him the talk and bought him cologne. When I came out as bi, Dad sighed and said, please don't make this complicated. So no, it wasn't just a birthday. It was a lifetime of cancelled celebrations, whispered insults, and being edited out of the family photo, one forgotten moment at a time. That night I didn't argue. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just packed. Quietly. Deliberately. One backpack, one guitar case, and a tote full of sketchbooks. I took my savings, $8.14.67, and slipped out the back door around midnight. I left a note on the kitchen counter that said, don't worry. You won't have to cancel anything for me again. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't have a plan. But for the first time in my life, I felt like I could finally breathe. No more shrinking myself to make room for Caleb's ego. No more being the family's invisible burden. I was done being the shadow son. Whatever came next, starvation, homelessness, freedom, I'd rather face it on my own than spend one more year begging for a seat at a table I paid for. I spent the first 3 nights sleeping in my car. The 4th night, I got lucky. An older guy who ran a record store said I could crash in the back room for a bit if I helped clean and unload boxes. His name was Vince. He had tattoos of cassette tapes and a beard like melted wax. He didn't ask questions. He just tossed me a sleeping bag and said, don't steal the vinyl. Everything else is negotiable. That job led to a second one, busking outside coffee shops. I played guitar and sang songs I wrote in the margins of my sketchbooks. Mostly sad ones. People tipped more when I looked like I meant it, and I always did. I didn't post anything online at first. I wanted to build something real, quiet, without my last name dragging behind me like a busted muffler. But over time, I started uploading short clips, 1-minute songs, freestyle poems, loops from my cheap sampler. I used a fake name. Oh, Stone. People started listening. A few shared my stuff. Then a local poetry page featured me, and my followers doubled overnight. That's when Caleb found me. I was working a shift at the record store, sorting a box of dusty CDs, when he walked in like he owned the place. Nice setup, he said, glancing around like he was appraising the building. This what freedom looks like? I froze. My stomach dropped the way it used to when he'd slam my bedroom door open to borrow something, usually money, sometimes art supplies, always without asking. How did you find me? Internet. You're not as low-key as you think. He picked up a burned demo CD and turned it over in his hand. "Mom and Dad are worried," he added. "About you or me?" He laughed, loud and fake. "You're funny now. Look, I'm not here to fight. I'm just saying. This little starving artist phase? It's cute. But let's be real, you're not gonna make it without family." There it was. The line they always used. "Without us, you're nothing." I stared at him. He looked tired. Not the hard-working, burn-out kind of tired. The spoiled, directionless kind. "I've been doing fine," I said. "I have 2 jobs. I pay rent. I make music. That's more than I could do back home. Barely scraping by isn't success, Owen," says the guy who failed med school twice and still gets free rent. His face darkened. "You should come home," he said. "Mom's been thinking maybe we can all move past this." "No," I said. "No? No. I'm not coming back. You don't get to show up, insult me, and then pretend you're doing me a favor." He stepped closer, that familiar smirk twitching at the edge of his mouth. "You always thought you were deeper than you are. You write songs. Big deal. You think that makes you better?" "No," I said. "But it makes me me. And that's more than I ever got to be around you." He scoffed and walked out, the doorbell jingling behind him. I waited until he was gone before I let myself sit down. I wasn't scared of him anymore. I wasn't afraid of their disappointment. I wasn't desperate for their approval. And for the first time, I didn't feel like a runaway. I felt like a person with boundaries. That night, I changed all my passwords, moved my account settings to private, and blocked Caleb on every platform. He didn't get to see what I built next. It started with a video titled, "The Truth About O. Stone, Liar, Thief, Faker." It had 14,000 views by the time I saw it. Caleb had dug up every piece of footage he could find, from my old high school recitals to cringy bedroom covers I deleted years ago. He stitched it together with dramatic voiceovers, claiming I had stolen songs from other artists, lied about being homeless, even faked a panic attack for tips. Most of it was easy to disprove, but that didn't matter. The comments exploded. "Typical grifter. Another sad boy scam artist. Bet he's back home mooching off mommy and daddy now." In one night, I lost 2 sponsors, a licensing deal, and 4,000 followers. The algorithm buried me. My email was full of apologies from people who said they just couldn't be associated right now. At first, I thought maybe Caleb paid someone to make it. But no. I recognized the way he narrated the video. His smug rhythm, the way he pronounced fabrication, like a gavel. I texted him once. "You're proud of this?" He replied with a photo of my old bedroom and the caption, "Still here when you're ready to stop playing pretend." I didn't answer. But the next week, he broke into my apartment. I came home from a late shift at the coffee shop and found the front door kicked in. Nothing stolen, except my guitar. The same cheap acoustic I'd used to write every song since I was 15. There was a sticky note left on my pillow. It said, "Maybe write a song about this." I sat down on the floor and shook. Not from fear. Not even from sadness. But from rage. He didn't just want me gone. He wanted me erased. I filed a police report. They couldn't prove it was him, but the officer asked if I had any enemies. I just laughed. I had to crash with Vince again while my door got fixed. The landlord said I'd be evicted if it happened again. So I made a choice. I deleted everything. My name. My music. My history. I archived every song, every video, and shut the whole thing down. Then I made a new account. No face. No backstory. No traceable tags. The new name, Noah West. I dropped an instrumental loop first. Then a vocal layer. Then a full track, no lyrics, just hums and rhythm. People found it. Not many at first. But they listened. They shared. They cared. Because this time, it wasn't about Caleb. It wasn't about proving I was worthy of love. It was just me, building something sacred. Alone, invisible, and finally free. By the end of the month, Noah West had more followers than O. Stone ever did. And not a single person knew who I used to be. 6 months passed. By then, Noah West was everywhere. Not on billboards or late-night shows, but in people's lives, playlist placements, TikToks with my beats under their breakup montages, bedroom producers remixing my hooks. There were no photos of me, no interviews. Just the music. And it was working. I had 3 songs charting on indie streaming lists. A tiny label reached out. They didn't care who I was, they just liked the sound. I still worked at the coffee shop, but fewer hours. I could breathe again. Then one night, while locking up the store, I got a DM on my private Instagram. It was a photo of me leaving my apartment. My apartment. From across the street. No message. Just the image. Then another. Me performing at an open mic. Then one of Vince's record store. I didn't need to guess. I knew who was behind it. The next day, I got an email from Caleb. Subject. Still watching, smiley face. Body. Congrats on the success. Can't wait for the credits. Love, your biggest fan. I didn't reply. Instead, I walked into the precinct and updated my police report. I printed every photo, every email, and installed a camera outside my place. Vince helped me set up a motion detector. I slept with a metal bar beside my bed. And still, the music kept growing. A week later, I released a track called Ghost Light. No lyrics, just a haunting piano melody and layered vocal loops. It went viral in 3 days. 400,000 streams. A podcast used it as their theme. Suddenly, Noah West was the faceless voice of modern isolation. Someone tweeted that, and it stuck. With every upload, I got stronger. Not just louder, clearer. Like every chord stripped another layer of Caleb's voice out of my head. Then the label offered a small tour, 5 cities, 1 month, all East Coast. I said yes. Not out of revenge. Not to prove anything. I just wanted to stand on a stage and sing without flinching. I wanted to exist without permission. But before I left, I got one more envelope. Slipped under my door. No return address. Inside were printed screenshots, my face mid-performance, my full legal name, clips from my old YouTube. A single sticky note attached. I can still ruin you. That was the moment I changed. Not with fear. With fire. I wasn't running anymore. If he wanted to play games, I was ready to play smarter. I bought 2 things. A portable recorder with high-range mics. A seat at Caleb's graduation party. I didn't RSVP. I didn't ask permission. I just showed up, with evidence, documentation, and a calm I didn't recognize in myself. Let him posture. Let them beg. I was done surviving. It was time to perform. Caleb's graduation party was held at a country club north of the city. The kind of place with valet parking and little name cards folded on linen napkins. I wore all black and kept my recorder in my coat pocket, already running. I hadn't told anyone I was coming. I didn't need to. I wanted them off guard. As I stepped inside, I saw the same actors playing the same tired parts. Mom with her fake pearls, clinking glasses with strangers. Dad talking loudly about legacy to anyone who'd listen. Caleb, beaming, surrounded, golden as ever. I waited near the bar. Eventually, I saw them notice me. My mother's expression dropped like a curtain. My father blinked like I was a ghost. And Caleb, he smirked, then waved me over. Owen, he said, loud enough for the table to hear. Wow. You made it out of your cave. I smiled. You invited me. He laughed. I did. You left photos on my doorstep. A note that said you could still ruin me. A ripple of silence crept over the table. Come on. Caleb chuckled, glancing at our parents. Still writing your little songs? You must be here to ask for help. That's when I pulled out my phone and played the first recording. His voice, clear as day. You're not gonna make it without family. Scraping by isn't success. You always thought you were deeper than you are. Then I played the voicemail from months ago. Congrats on the success. Can't wait for the credits. Love, your biggest fan. I slid a printed police report across the table. Then another, the one I updated after the stalking photos. I dropped screenshots of the emails. Of the DMs. Of the slanderous video. You've been harassing me for over a year. I said, voice steady. This is my cease and desist. I've also filed for a restraining order. The hearing is in 2 weeks. My mom gasped. Dad muttered my name like a threat. But Caleb, he didn't blink. Seriously? He laughed, but his hands were shaking. This is pathetic. I turned to the people around the table. I want you all to hear me, I said. I don't want an apology. I don't want an invitation back. I just want the record corrected. I opened a folder labeled, for legal disclosure, and passed it around. Inside were timestamps, metadata, and side-by-side comparisons proving the claims in Caleb's video were fabricated. It was undeniable. My father cleared his throat. We don't need to do this here. I looked at him. You're right. But you've ignored every other setting. Then I pulled out my final card, a USB drive. This contains the original files of the music I posted under Stone. Dated layered raw files. And here. I pulled out a second one. Are the hacked versions Caleb uploaded to discredit me. Edited on his laptop. Verified by a tech analyst. Caleb stood up. You think this is justice? I met his eyes. No. This is a warning. If you come near me again, I will press charges. And the next audience won't be your graduation party. I turned and left. Outside, the valet blinked at me. Sir, you didn't drive. I know, I said. I just needed to walk away. In the weeks after the party, silence became the loudest sound I knew. Caleb never responded to the legal notice. But I heard from a friend of a friend that his residency program offer had been quietly withdrawn. Apparently, the label, harassment, doesn't play well on background checks, especially when it's backed by police reports and tech audits. My parents? They never called. Not once. But for the first time, their silence didn't feel like a punishment. It felt like freedom. I poured everything into music. Not as Noah West. Not as Stone. Just me. For the first time, I was writing songs that didn't beg for love. They held it. I recorded a full-length album in Vince's studio called Glass Houses. 10 tracks. Each one a room I'd lived in. Each one a truth I wasn't scared of anymore. The last song on the album was called 18. It opened with the sound of a chair scraping on a hardwood floor, a fork clinking on a plate. Then the guitar. Then my voice. You canceled my birthday. But not the pain. Left a seat at your table. And ate just the same. Now I light my own candles. And sing in the dark. No gifts, just a suitcase. And a brand new heart. I released it anonymously at midnight on my 19th birthday. It hit 500,000 streams in the first week. Messages poured in. Kids saying they felt invisible too. People who'd cut ties with toxic families. People who never got their apology, but finally stopped waiting for it. And then, one day, I got a knock on my apartment door. Caleb. He looked nothing like the boy in our family's photo albums. His suit was wrinkled. His eyes puffy. No mask left to wear. I lost everything, he said quietly. My residency, my friends, even Mom and Dad barely talked to me. I didn't say anything. Just waited. I hated you, he continued. Not because you did anything to me. But because you kept being you. And they loved me for pretending. You never even tried to be what they wanted. I nodded. Yeah. That's kind of the point. He swallowed hard. I'm sorry. I let the silence sit. I believe you, I said. But that doesn't mean I forgive you. And it doesn't mean you get access to my life. He looked down. I figured. He turned to leave, then paused. Your song. 18. That one wrecked me. I gave him a small, tired smile. It wrecked me too. That's how I knew it was honest. He left. Quietly this time. I stood there for a moment, hands still on the doorknob. Then I went back inside and picked up my guitar. I wasn't writing for them anymore. Not for revenge. Not for closure. Just to breathe. And every time I hit upload, I didn't wonder if they'd see it. Because I finally understood. Their silence wasn't my burden to carry. It was their story to choke on. Mine had already been sung.